The gene of a city, urban DNA, and the blueprint for future metropolises. In much the same way that genes shape living organisms, the gene of a city represents the fundamental elements that define its identity, growth, and sustainability. Just as DNA carries the biological instructions for the development, functioning, and reproduction of all known living organisms, cities have their own urban DNA, composed of various factors, such as geography, architecture, culture, infrastructure, and governance, that collectively determine the essence and evolution of an urban environment. This essay explores the metaphor of the city as a living organism, whose genetic makeup influences its capacity for adaptation, resilience, and growth in an increasingly complex and interconnected world. The genetic blueprint of urban design. The genes of a city can be understood as the core components that form its foundational structure, much like how DNA provides the blueprint for the physical and functional characteristics of organisms. These urban genes are responsible for a city's growth, the flow of people and resources, and its ability to respond to internal and external pressures, such as population increases, technological advancements, and environmental challenges. 1. Geography and location. Just as an organism's environment plays a crucial role in its survival, a city's geography significantly influences its development. Historically, cities have emerged in locations advantageous for trade, agriculture, defense, or industry. Coastal cities such as New York and Tokyo benefited from their access to trade routes and natural harbors, while inland cities like Paris grew around rivers that supported commerce and transportation. In the context of urban DNA, geography serves as the underlying genetic code that shapes the potential for a city's economic, social, and environmental evolution. The city's geography can also dictate its vulnerabilities. For example, coastal cities are increasingly exposed to rising sea levels due to climate change, requiring them to mutate their urban strategies through seawalls, flood management systems, and climate adaptation policies in order to survive. Much like an organism adapting to environmental pressures, cities must evolve in response to their geographical constraints. 2. Infrastructure and architecture. Infrastructure functions as the structural DNA of a city, analogous to the skeleton of a living organism. Roads, bridges, public transportation systems, and utilities are the connective tissues that allow the flow of people, goods, and services. A well-designed infrastructure supports a city's growth, while outdated or inefficient systems can hinder progress and limit a city's potential. Architecture, on the other hand, represents the expression of a city's genes in terms of its physical appearance and functionality. The style, layout, and sustainability of buildings reflect the historical, cultural, and technological influences that have shaped the urban landscape. Iconic buildings, such as the skyscrapers of New York City or the historic structures of Rome, contribute to the unique identity encoded in the urban DNA of each city. Future cities, influenced by advancements in materials science and sustainable design, will likely incorporate smart genes into their architecture. These buildings will be capable of adapting to their environment, using renewable energy sources, regulating internal temperature, and even repairing themselves, echoing the self-sustaining and self-healing capacities of biological organisms. The genetic code of urban culture and society. In addition to physical infrastructure, the gene of a city also encompasses the cultural and social dynamics that define its identity. Just as genetic diversity is crucial to the survival of a species, social diversity within a city enriches its cultural fabric and contributes to its resilience in the face of challenges. 1. Social fabric and demographics. The population of a city, the social gene pool, is key to its vitality and innovation. Cities with a diverse mix of ethnicities, backgrounds, and skill sets tend to be more adaptable and innovative, as they can draw from a wider range of experiences and perspectives. This diversity enables cities to evolve in response to new challenges, whether economic, environmental, or political. For instance, cities like London and Los Angeles, with their multicultural populations, are often at the forefront of creative industries, technology, and cultural production. In the same way that genetic variation allows a species to adapt to changing conditions, a diverse urban population gives rise to a vibrant and resilient social ecosystem. Demographics also influence the age of a city's population. Cities with younger populations may experience rapid innovation and growth, while those with aging populations might focus more on healthcare, accessibility, and retirement infrastructure. Understanding the demographic makeup of a city allows urban planners to design policies that support its evolving needs and challenges, similar to how organisms must adapt to changes in their life cycle. 2. Cultural identity and innovation. The cultural genes of a city are encoded in its traditions, arts, language, and public spaces. These cultural elements shape how a city is perceived by both its residents and the outside world, influencing tourism, business, and global reputation. Just as DNA dictates physical traits in an organism, cultural traditions and values define the collective character of a city. However, culture is not static. It evolves over time as cities grow and interact with other urban centers. Cities that foster creativity, innovation, and collaboration, like Berlin, San Francisco, and Shanghai, are often able to thrive in the global economy because they allow their cultural genes to evolve and adapt. Cultural hubs, art districts, and innovation centers become the equivalent of genetic mutations that introduce new possibilities into the urban genome. Technological evolution and the smart city genome. The future of cities is intimately connected to technology. As cities face increasing pressures from population growth, environmental degradation, and resource scarcity, technology will play a crucial role in ensuring their survival. The introduction of smart technologies into urban systems is akin to an organism acquiring new genetic traits that increase its fitness in a changing environment. 1. Smart infrastructure and data-driven governance. Smart cities, which leverage technology to optimize urban operations and services, represent the next stage in the evolution of urban DNA. Just as living organisms rely on sensory input to respond to their environment, smart cities rely on vast networks of sensors and data collection to monitor everything from traffic patterns to energy consumption. This real-time data allows cities to become more responsive and efficient. For example, intelligent traffic management systems can reduce congestion and pollution by dynamically adjusting traffic lights based on real-time conditions. Similarly, smart energy grids can optimize power distribution based on consumption patterns, reducing waste and lowering costs. Data-driven governance also allows cities to become more agile in their decision-making processes. Governments can analyze data on public health, education, and economic trends to implement policies that better meet the needs of their citizens. This continuous feedback loop allows cities to mutate their governance structures and strategies in response to changing circumstances, improving their overall resilience. 2. The role of AI and automation. As artificial intelligence, AI, and automation become increasingly integrated into urban systems, the very nature of the city's genome is transforming. AI can be seen as the next stage in the city's genetic evolution, augmenting its capacity to manage complex systems and solve problems that were previously unsolvable. AI-powered systems in healthcare, transportation, and public safety will enable cities to operate more efficiently, much like how biological organisms adapt through increased neural complexity. Autonomous vehicles, for example, could drastically reduce traffic accidents and fatalities, while AI-driven urban planning tools could optimize land use and resource distribution to accommodate future population growth. However, the introduction of AI and automation into the urban gene pool also raises ethical questions about privacy, inequality, and the displacement of workers. Just as genetic engineering in biological organisms can lead to unintended consequences, the rapid integration of AI into city systems must be carefully managed to avoid disrupting the social fabric. Challenges in the evolution of urban DNA. Despite the potential for cities to evolve into more advanced and sustainable systems, several challenges threaten their future viability. Urban environments, like biological organisms, are susceptible to disease, overpopulation, and environmental degradation. 1. Climate change and environmental stressors. One of the most significant threats to cities today is climate change. Rising sea levels, extreme weather events, and resource depletion are putting unprecedented pressure on urban systems. Cities like Miami, Jakarta, and Venice are already facing existential threats from flooding, while others are grappling with drought, wildfires, and heat waves. Cities must adapt their genetic code, through innovations in green infrastructure, water management, and renewable energy, to survive in a world where the environment is becoming increasingly hostile. The ability to reduce carbon emissions, build climate-resilient infrastructure, and manage scarce resources will determine which cities thrive and which perish in the coming decades. 2. Social inequality and urban decay. Another critical challenge for cities is managing social inequality and the potential for urban decay. As cities grow, the gap between wealthy and impoverished areas often widens, leading to social unrest, crime, and a breakdown of urban cohesion. The failure to address inequality can lead to the genetic deterioration of a city, where certain neighborhoods or districts are effectively left behind. Cities must find ways to integrate social equity into their urban genome, ensuring that all citizens have access to basic services, education, and employment opportunities. Urban renewal projects, affordable housing initiatives, and inclusive governance structures will be essential in creating cities that are not only resilient but also just and equitable. Conclusion: cities as living organisms. The metaphor of the city as a living organism, with its own genetic blueprint, offers a powerful framework for understanding how urban environments evolve over time. From the physical infrastructure that supports the city's growth to the social and cultural dynamics that define its identity, the gene of a city influences every aspect of urban life. As cities continue to face new challenges in the 21st century, from climate change to technological disruption, they will need to evolve their urban DNA to ensure their survival. The cities that thrive will be those that can adapt, innovate, and maintain a balance between progress and sustainability. In this sense, the future of cities is not unlike the future of living organisms. It will depend on their ability to evolve in